everybody, it's Jenny J 1911. Tonight I wanted to talk a little bit about another cost comparison. Now, the first cost comparison video that I put on YouTube generated a lot of response, and I did read all of those comments, or at least as many as I could see, and I was really interested to see that a lot of people were wondering how they could start reloading for a little bit cheaper. And so I'm here to tell you that yes, it is possible to reload for what I think is a very reasonable startup cost. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about a couple of different scenarios for how you can get set up to start reloading. Now, this reloading that we're going to be talking about is for pistol reloading, not rifle reloading. Rifle reloading will bring on a few more factors. So tonight we're just going to keep it pretty basic, and we're just going to talk about pistol reloading. Okay, so that being said, another thing that I would like to say is that a lot of you asked about my time and why I didn't factor my time in as one of my costs. Well, reloading is my hobby, and I don't think about how much it costs me in time to do a hobby, something I enjoy. It's something that relaxes me. It's something that I get to do with my husband, and it helps me kind of refocus after a long day. We're able to, come to our shop and do this together and just chat and enjoy what we're doing. And so I, like anybody who's going to go out and do a hobby, maybe it's play around a golf or do some trail running or cycling. Those are all things that people might do to relax them. This is one of the things I do to relax. So that being said, the first thing we're going to look at for our first scenario is a very basic setup scenario. Now, the press that I'm going to be talking about is, of course, not the only press on the market. You need to find the press that works best for you. But this is an example. Okay, so what I'm going to talk to you about is the Lee breech lock press. That is a single stage press, and you can get that for about $58. Now, when I say about, as with all of these dollar amounts that we're going to be talking about tonight, it's an approximation. You might find something for less, you might find something for more, okay? It just depends on where you can get a deal, and we'll go into that even more a little bit later. So the Lee breech lock system is actually made with an aluminum frame. It has a bottom center handle, and a lot of the people in the reviews that I read have really loved this press. They say that it's a great basic press, especially for people who are just starting to reload. And they also say that even when they upgrade to bigger presses, more complex presses, they still keep this press around for doing their simpler jobs. So when you pick up your Lee breech lock press system, you're also going to need a few other things. And these are things that, we're not limited to just these things, but I would say these are the very basic things that you need to get started, okay? So you're going to need a tumbler. Now, you could choose a wet tumbler, you can choose a dry tumbler. We use a dry tumbler, and that tumbler is going to run you about $60. You can spend more on a tumbler if you want, but you can expect to invest about $60. You're also going to need some media. So your media is going to cost you about $20. You're going to use that media, though, over and over until it gets dirty. You dump it out, and then you're going to pour in some new media. We use walnut shell media, and it's, pretty cost effective to buy a jug like this for $20. It takes us a long time to get through that. So you're also going to need a powder measure. Now, Lee makes a powder measure called the Lee Perfect Powder Measure. They charge $25 for that. You can use that, or you can use this really cool little thing called the Lee Improved Powder Measure Kit, and that's only $12. Now, this measure kit is like 15 little yellow scoops in a box. And those scoops are all different sizes. They graduate from a very, very tiny size all the way up to a larger size. Think of measuring cups in your kitchen. It's the same thing, just on a smaller scale for your powder. Okay, so you can choose one of those two things. Obviously, the $12 option would save you a little bit of money over the $25 option even. Okay, you're also going to need a hand primer. Your hand primer is going to run you about $60. This press does not come with a primer, so you're going to hand prime your cases on your own with your hand primer. Okay, you're also going to need to buy some calipers. I like the digital calipers because I love seeing that number on the screen. Digital calipers, you can find them for as little as about $20. You can also buy calipers that has a dial. So it's up to you what your preference is, what you like working with the best. Okay, you're also going to need some caliber specific dies. So Lee makes a die set called the Lee Deluxe die set out of carbide. It's got 4 dies in it, and that's going to run about $54. And when you use carbide dies, you actually don't need to use the lubricant the same way that you do with other dies. So that's kind of a great investment to make. You're also going to need to buy some scales. Now, I like the digital scales for the same reason I like my digital calipers, but you can buy a set of digital scales for $35, okay? And you can buy all kinds of digital scales. You can go as high as you want on digital scales. Another scale that you should have in your inventory is a beam scale. They actually recommend that you have one of each, but if you can only get one to start with, that's okay too, because you're just getting started. So you also need a loading block, and that's going to run about $12. The loading block holds your cases so that as you are working through each step of the process, you know that your cases are secure. And last but not least, you're also going to need at least one reloading manual. They recommend you actually have at least 2 reloading manuals, but to start, if you can get one, you're only going to pay about $35 for it. And you'll be able to pick more up as you go. And also you're going to need a case gauge, and a case gauge will run you about $20. So that's going to ensure that as you are loading your ammunition, you're going to be able to check your gauge and make sure that that's actually going to cycle through your gun okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add all of these amounts up, and it comes out to about $391. Now, if you're doing the math, you're going to say, well, if you pick one or the other of these, it's not going to be $391. So it's $391 less either this or this, the 25 or the 12, depending on which powder system you want to use. Okay, so remember that number, $391, okay, for the basic setup. That's an approximation. Like I said, you may be able to find some things for more or less. That's an approximation, okay? Now we're going to take a look at a little more advanced setup system. Okay, now we're going to talk about a little more advanced system. So what I did was I took the Dillon 550C just because, well, for a few reasons. So first of all, the Dillon 550C is it's touted as the most versatile press on the market, and it also is able to accommodate the widest variety of cartridges. So that's why I kind of wanted to go with that, because this is one that you can really customize and do a lot with. And so that also means, with customization, means adding lots of bells and whistles and frills and things that you can either take or leave. So if you look at the Dillon website, they actually have something called the Essentials Package. The Essentials Package is basically a whole kit that they have put together, and it includes the 550C press, which is a manual indexing progressive press. And it also includes all of these things. So you're going to get a caliber conversion kit. You're going to get your carbide dies. Now this package only comes with 9mm dies. So if you buy this, you're going to get the 9mm dies, but that also means that you can purchase additional die sets for other calibers, however you want to load. And another thing about this is that, you can interchange the different die sets from other manufacturers even. So all of these presses will take dies from other manufacturers. So if you buy a Lee press, you don't have to have only Lee dies. You can use Dillon dies or Hornady dies, okay? So anyway, back to our list. So we're gonna get our carbide dies in 9mm if you get the Essentials package. You're gonna get a digital scale. You're gonna get digital calipers. You're gonna get your primer flip tray, okay? So one of these handy dandy little guys. You're gonna get a 9mm case gauge. You're also gonna get a 1-inch bench wrench. You're gonna get the mounting hardware kit. You're gonna get a Lyman reloading manual, and you're also gonna get a case prep guide, okay? So you'll get all of that stuff for $1,040.97. Now, there are, of course, a few things that don't come in this kit that you are going to need. So one of those things would be our tumbler. Remember, I talked about how our tumbler could run anywhere from $60 up. You can buy a tumbler for $60. You can spend all the way up to, $280 on a tumbler. Another thing you're going to need, of course, is your media, which we've already discussed, and you're going to need a separator. Now, I didn't talk about a separator with the previous press. Your separator, you have lots of options for a separator. The separator that we actually use is a Dillon separator. It's got a crank handle on it, but you can even use a separator that basically is like a colander. It's going to be just like a little dish, and you're just going to shake it by hand, kind of like you are panning for gold. You could pretend that you're panning for gold while you're doing this. So anyway, all of these things added up will come up to, and I have a range here because of my tumbler range. I went ahead and factored that range in here. Okay, so you're going to spend anywhere from about $1,200.97 to $1,420.97. Okay, and that difference is just because of this difference here in the tumbler. Okay, so now we are going to wrap all of this up. So to wrap all of this up, first of all, I want to make sure that you understand I don't get paid by anybody to mention any of these dies and presses, okay? Or any of the other pieces of equipment that go into it. But there are so many options on the market from very reputable manufacturers, and I have read a million reviews on all these different products, and you know what I have found? I have found that people really love the thing that they're using. There really aren't a lot of complaints about any of these products. So whether you go to Lee or Dillon or Hornady or RCBS, you could go to Lyman or Redding, any of those places, you're gonna find really great equipment that's gonna suit your purpose and your need and help you get started reloading. So other things that you might be needing to spend some money on, you might want to look into a bullet puller. It's very handy if we have any reason that we need to pull a bullet from something that we've loaded. We pull the bullet, and if it's still in good shape, we can still reuse that bullet. We take the powder, we pour it back into our powder measure. So all of those things, the case you can reuse as long as it wasn't damaged for whatever reason you're pulling your bullet apart. You're going to be able to reuse all that stuff. So a bullet puller really is a nice little tool to have, and that runs about $25. Another thing that you might want to consider getting is case lube. And then also one thing that people mentioned a lot in comments in my other video was ammo boxes. I didn't mention ammo boxes in that cost comparison video because you can use anything for an ammo box, including your factory boxes. You go out and buy a white box of 45 ACP, you can reuse that and put your reloaded stuff in it. You don't have to spend money on these nice little plastic ammo boxes if you don't want to. You know, you can go out and buy little, like the little Rubbermaid dishes to store your stuff in. Anything that keeps it in one nice place. We like the plastic boxes because it keeps them all separated and neat and easy to take out when we're loading them into our magazines. But you don't have to use that either. So, you know, do what works for you. Another thing that I want you to consider is that you can find used equipment. Everything I've talked about here tonight is pricing for brand new equipment. You don't have to buy brand new equipment. You can buy used stuff because these presses are made to last. They are made to endure years and years of use. So our reloading shop that we like to go to, which is Full Circle in St. Charles, they often have used presses for sale. You can find used presses at estate sales. You can find used presses at garage sales, at auctions. You just have to look. You know, you never know. You might see one maybe posted on Facebook Marketplace, or you might have a neighbor that says, hey, you know, my friend is getting rid of this. He doesn't know what to do with it. You can buy it. There are always going to be places to find this stuff. And, you know, I even had a gentleman write in one of my comments, actually, that he said, you know, there are always going to be generations that are aging out of doing this, and they're going to be getting rid of their stuff. And so, you know, you never know who you're going to run across that has something that you can buy for very, very minimal cost. Keep your eyes open for those deals. And it doesn't just go for the presses, it goes for any of the other equipment that you're going to be using. So you can make reloading exactly what you want to make it, just like you're making your ammo exactly what you want to make it. So that being said, if you're on the fence about reloading, if you're scared because you feel like you don't have the space, or you don't have the money, or you don't have the time, you know, all of those things can be worked around so that it fits your lifestyle and your needs. And I really hope that I said something that maybe gave you a little bit of information or clarity into the subject of reloading. And if you ever have any questions about it at all, please feel free to reach out, because I do love talking about this. It's been so much fun. And I hope that I get to talk about reloading with you more. So please keep liking and subscribing and commenting on my videos. I'm having the best time getting to know all of you, and I look forward to talking to you all again soon.